Hey, what's up y'all, it's Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how to make my delicious homemade fried chicken and macaroni and cheese casserole. Now this dish combines two Southern soul food classic dishes into one casserole dish. Now how do we go by making this dish? So first, we start off by making the macaroni and cheese. Once the macaroni and cheese is made, we add it into a cast iron skillet. We take small pieces of chicken, we season it, we marinate it, and we fry it until it's nice golden brown. And once it cools off, we add it on top of the macaroni and cheese. And in addition to that, sometimes they have like the crumbs from the fried chicken. We take that and we add that right on top as well with a little bit of seasoning. And after that, it is baked to perfection. This recipe calls for about 4 to 6 servings. It's a wonderful comfort food dish and it's absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all you'll need to make your fried chicken, macaroni and cheese casserole. Let's get started with our ingredients. You'll need some elbow macaroni, a half a pound of boneless skinless chicken thighs, shredded Parmesan cheese, 2 8-ounce packages of extra sharp cheddar cheese, 1 can of evaporated milk, sour cream at room temperature, salted butter, all-purpose flour, large eggs at room temperature, vegetable or canola oil, and for your seasonings, you will need some salt, black pepper, Tony Saturated Creole seasoning. Now, if you don't have this, you can use the Zatarain's Creole seasoning or the Slap Your Mama Cajun seasoning. And you will also need some Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, onion powder, and garlic powder. And for your tools, you will need a 4-quart pot or a deep fryer. Now, if you're using a 4-quart pot, you're going to need a thermometer to go along with that as well. You will also need a cooling rack and a 10-inch round cast iron skillet. Now, if you have a small casserole dish, you can use that as well. And there we have it. Alrighty, let's get straight to it. So I'm going to go ahead and add my boneless, skinless chicken thighs into this strainer. I'm going to just rinse them off with cold water. Now, I like to do this step to rinse off any blood or particles that might be on the chicken pieces. Okay, here I have some napkins, and I'm just going to pat the chicken pieces dry. And do this little by little. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and cut the chicken into small bite-sized pieces. Now, if your chicken has any type of excessive fat or anything like that, just trim that off. And from there, you can just take your chicken pieces and you can just add it into this medium-sized bowl here. Alright, now let's add some seasoning. I'm going to sprinkle about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 1/8 teaspoon of Tony Saturated Creole seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of Chef Paul's Poetry Magic, 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm going to take my hands and I'm just going to coat those seasonings onto the chicken pieces. Now I'm going to go ahead and place this into my refrigerator for about 30 minutes to an hour. Alright, let's get started with our seasoned egg batter. So in this small bowl, I have 2 large eggs at room temperature. And to that, I'm just going to add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of Tony Saturated Creole seasoning, 1/8 of a teaspoon of onion powder, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm going to just give this a quick stir till it all comes together. There we go. Alright, let's get started with our seasoned all-purpose flour batter. So in this small Tupperware, make sure you have a lid to go along with it, of course. Going to add 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And to that, you're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of Tony Saturated Creole seasoning, a 1/2 teaspoon of Chef Paul's Poetry Magic, a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Now I'm going to go ahead and just give this a quick stir. There we go. Alright, let's get started with shredding our cheese. So here I have a cheese shredder here. And what we're going to do is we're going to shred 12 ounces of this extra sharp cheddar cheese. So you're going to shred the entire first pack of the cheese. And in the second pack, you're only going to shred half of it. Alright, let's go ahead and shred this. Now I'm going to go ahead and place this into my refrigerator until we're ready to make the cheese sauce. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Alright, let's get started with cooking our macaroni. So in this medium-sized pot, I have 2 quarts of water and I brought it up to a boil. And to that, I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to just give this a quick stir. Alright, next up, I'm going to add 8 ounces in weight. This is a half a pound, 1 1/2 cups, if you're using a measuring cup, of the elbow macaroni. So you're going to add that in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Now I'm going to let this simmer for about 10 to 12 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, it's been about 10 to 12 minutes now, and our elbow macaroni is done. Now you want to make sure you take a fork, make sure you give the macaroni a quick taste test to see if it's at your desired texture, and to make sure that it is thoroughly cooked. Now you're going to go ahead and turn your fire off. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and add my elbow macaroni into this mesh strainer. Now I'm going to just let the macaroni cool off in the strainer. I'm not going to rinse it off or anything like that, but if you want to rinse it off, that is optional. You can rinse it off if you like. Preheat your fire to medium heat. If you have a deep fryer, preheat it to 350 or 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Alright, let's get started with heating up our oil. So in this medium-sized 4-quart pot, I'm going to add 48 fluid ounces of canola oil. Now if you have a deep fryer, you have to add the oil in there according to the instructions on the capacity of how much oil to add, so you might need more oil. Now I'm going to let this get hot until the oil reaches a temperature of 350 to 375 degrees. Now before you fry your chicken, make sure you have a cooling rack with a pan underneath it ready, because once the chicken is fried, we're going to place it right on here. Alright, let's get started with frying our chicken. So here we have our chicken. We have it nice and marinated. Now let it sit out for about 20 minutes just to let it get warm just a little bit. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my chicken pieces, a small amount of it, and I'm going to just add it into the egg mixture. And I'm just going to coat the chicken pieces with the egg mixture. And from there, I'm just going to add them into the seasoned all-purpose flour batter. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and cover this. And I'm going to just shake the Tupperware to coat that chicken with the seasoned all-purpose flour batter. Now you're going to take some of the chicken pieces and place it into your palm of your hand and just shake it to remove some of the batter off. And from there, we're just going to take it and add the chicken pieces into the hot oil. Now you're going to let this fry for about 3 to 4 minutes. Alright, it's been about 3 to 4 minutes now, and our chicken pieces are done. Now I'm going to take a mesh straining spoon and I'm going to pick the chicken pieces up. And I'm going to hold it for a few seconds just to let some of that oil drain. And from there, I'm going to add them onto my cooling rack with a pan underneath it to catch the drippings. Alright, now you're going to let this cool off until we're ready to add it on top of our macaroni and cheese mixture. Preheat your fire to medium-low heat. Alright, let's get started with making our cheese sauce. So in this medium-sized pot, I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of salted butter. And I'm going to just spread that around like that. And I'm going to just let that melt in there. Alright, next I'm going to add 12 ounces. That's 1 1/2 cups of evaporated milk right on in there. Alright, now let's add some seasoning. I'm going to sprinkle about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 1/8 of a teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of sour cream at room temperature. It's a dollop. Add a little bit more. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Now I'm going to let this get warm for about 2 to 3 minutes. Alright, next up I'm going to add 12 ounces in weight. That's about 3 1/2 cups of the shredded extra sharp cheddar cheese right on in there. And to that I'm going to add 1/8 of a cup of shredded Parmesan cheese right on in there. And I'm going to go ahead and take my little spatula and I'm just going to stir this continuously. until the cheese has melted into the evaporated milk mixture. Alright, it's been about 6 to 8 minutes now, and our cheese has melted into the milk mixture. Next up, I'm going to add my elbow macaroni right on in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Now as you see here, the mixture might appear to look a little soupy. Don't worry about that, that is normal. And there we go, our macaroni mixture is ready. Now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 425 degrees. Alright, here we have our cast iron skillet. I already have it seasoned and everything, but I'm going to go ahead and add some butter in there. That's about a half a tablespoon of that. And I'm going to just spread that around the cast iron skillet. Spread it onto the sides as well. Normally I would have my cast iron skillet hot, but I decided to try something a little different. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add my macaroni and cheese mixture right on in there. I'm going to just spread this around. And give your skillet a quick shake just to make it even. Alright, next I'm going to add my fried chicken pieces right on top. Even got some little crumbs left over from the fried chicken. I'm going to just sprinkle that on top. Alright, next up, as a little final garnish, I'm going to just sprinkle just a little bit of Chef Paul Prud'homme's Poetry Magic. Just a little bit on top, just like that. Now it is ready to be baked. Now I'm going to go ahead and place this into a preheated 425 degree oven on the bottom rack. And I'm going to bake this for 10 minutes. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes now for our macaroni and cheese casserole. Now let's go ahead and remove this out of the oven. Alright, now we're going to let this cool off for about an hour before serving. Now it is important that you let this cool off for a good little while until it's warm, so that way the flavors can settle and increase. Alright, and for best results, you can serve this the very next day, so that way the flavors can settle and increase overnight. Here is the final presentation. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Homemade fried chicken and macaroni and cheese casserole made by a New Orleans native. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. Now, I have an official website for all of my recipes, including for this delicious homemade fried chicken and macaroni and cheese casserole. You can go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter under the name Charlie the Cook Andrews. Stay tuned as Charlie's Taste Test is coming up next. Can't you wait? Now it's time to go ahead and take a bite. Woo! It's really, really good. The macaroni and cheese is nice and creamy, well seasoned, and that fried chicken, nice and tender, well seasoned. Have a nice little crunch to it as well. Man, overall, this is absolutely delicious. I can't describe the flavor, but I mean, it's like tasting both chicken and macaroni and cheese combined together. It's really, really good. So, give the recipe a try. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, have a good one. Peace. And no, you can't have none. You better fix your own.